What to do with controversial statues and symbols? It's a question many communities are asking after recent protests of Confederate statues, or here in New Mexico, Spanish conquistadors like Don Juan de Oñate. Now, here in Albuquerque, the issue came to a head after a protest of the La Jornada sculpture in Old Town. It turned violent back in June. The city of Albuquerque ended up pulling that statue down in hopes of avoiding more demonstrations as it looked for new ways to address New Mexico's complicated and emotional history. New Mexico in Focus correspondent Gwyneth Dolan got an update this week on the city's new approach and how you can get involved in providing thoughts and suggestions about what to do with the La Jornada sculpture moving forward.
Our guest today is Alicia Manzano from the city of Albuquerque. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Gwyneth, for having me.
So the city is looking for what to do with La Jornada, the sculpture that includes the statue of Don Juan de Oñate. Given that Oñate is such a controversial figure, what is your approach here? Is the idea just figure out what is the least offensive thing and make it happen? Or do you think there's actually a way to kind of meet all the different perspectives and cultural stakeholders who are so divided on this?
Well, it's a great question. And I think the reason that we decided to do what we're doing, which is to engage in a community dialogue, was to get everyone's opinions on this and really to engage in the conversation that is much more than just about the statue. It's about race, it's about our history, it's about healing. So far we've had about 100 folks engage in the process, and you have to commit to 3 community conversations or dialogues. And we also have an online tool for folks to engage with us. They can take a survey online and tell us what they think about the statue if they don't want to engage in the lengthier process. But for us, it was more about not just removing the statue as that's a temporary solution because it was a public safety concern, but more so about really listening to the community, all of their concerns, because it won't end with just this one statue.
You know, I think we've all been very aware of the diversity of opinions out there. Is it impossible to bring them to some common ground?
You know, I don't think it's impossible. And what we've been seeing in our preliminary sessions is folks actually seeing some common ground. You know, it's interesting. It's a passionate issue. Folks really feel strongly one way or the other, as you mentioned. But there is an understanding of the culture and of the aspects of history that impact our state and how diverse it is. And so I do think that there will be areas of common ground as they move forward.
You've already started these conversations. Are you sensing any little places of that common ground? Can you give us an idea of some places where you're seeing people come together?
You know, I think even just seeing people understanding the other's point of view is a long ways off from what we saw in the very beginning, right? Usually, sometimes you want to just see someone digging their heels in, and this isn't the case. There's a lot of listening happening, so I find that to be common ground in the moment that we're in.
So after you've gathered all this public input online and in person, such as it is, what happens after that?
So the hope is that after all of the conversations, and of course, like 3 different dialogues, because we understand that in the first dialogue, we're not going to get at a solution, right? It's going to be a lot about understanding where you're coming from and where the other person is coming from. But when we do get to the point of solutions, we'd like to have the community recommend a set of solutions first to the Public Arts Board, because that is where this piece of artwork sits. And then eventually, if it needed to end up at City Council for any changes, if there needed to be any changes in ordinance or otherwise. And so that's the hope at this point.
So there is a protocol. The Art Board has to make recommendations to the City Council and to the mayor. And so do you think the City Council and the mayor will have their own revisions that they might make after all the community input is gathered?
You know, I can't speculate on what council wants to do, but I do know that the mayor has stated he really wants this to be community driven. And it's the same sentiment I've heard from many council members in my conversations with them. And so I think that the solutions that come forward from the community will be highly regarded and considered.
So what happens if there's no consensus? If you get real close and people do a lot of listening and understanding, but people cannot agree on what to do with the statue? What happens then?
It's a good question. I mean, I think the hope is that we get to a point of where there can actually be some solutions that are put forward and voted on by the Public Arts Board.
So is this process with the community solutions table, is that something that you can incorporate into discussions about other controversial symbols here in the city? You know, are there other symbols, statues, sculptures, things that you have been talking about so far that might require these same conversations?
You know, for this process specifically, we're just talking about the Oñate sculpture, but we do understand we've crafted this entire process, which is community-led. We have professional facilitators who are guiding folks through this conversation. And so I think that as folks are wondering about street names or park names, that this process can be utilized in the future and replicated if they think that it's been successful.
Alicia, you mentioned that you're collecting online feedback. How can people participate in that? Where do they go?
So you can visit us online at cabq.gov/RHHP, and you can sign up as a convener. So in other words, if you have a network of 8 to 10 people that you'd like to convene for a session, we can do it that way. Or if you'd like to participate in one of the scheduled sessions, you can sign up there as well. If you don't want to engage that way and you really just want to provide your thoughts on solutions, you can fill out the survey, which is on that link as well.
So when do you expect to have recommendations ready for the art board?
You know, we're hoping to wrap this up, you know, in late fall, early winter. We'd love to have solutions for folks to really take a look at by the end of the year.
And then they go to city council and the mayor. When might you expect, best case scenario, you've got something to move forward with?
We're hopeful that it's all wrapped up by the end of the year. That would be the hope, that we have some of these solutions presented by the fall, and then council voting on them, or the public arts voting on them, then sent to council. So that's the hope at this point. The issue, or not the issue, it's actually a really good thing, is that so many people are interested. So we have community dialogues going on throughout the week. And as you can imagine, when you're committing to 3 sessions, that does take some time, and we want to be able to hear everyone's voices. And so once we have that piece wrapped up, then we can go into community solutions. And then we also want to wrap in the data that we garner from the online survey that's being conducted right now, which that survey actually closes at the end of this month on August 30th.
Great. Alicia, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Gwyneth.